Battle of the Alamo is said to be one of the most important battles in the Texas Revolution and a major turning point in the war. I believe in this because our loss at Alamo and the cruelty of Santa Anna made the Texans want to fight and win their independence even more. The following battle after the Alamo, the Battle of San Jacinto, Texan volunteers were shouting, "Remember the Alamo," as they decimated the Mexican army under the rule of General Santa Anna. The main points of the Battle of the Alamo are why the battle started there, what happened during the conflict, and how the Texans reacted after the battle. To understand the real battle, one must appreciate its strategic context in the Texas Revolution. From October 1835, Texans in the field had succeeded in most of the military campaigns. The cannon at Gonzales remained, smaller military units surrendered and then retired to Mexico, and Bejar finally gave way after a 2-month siege. When Martin Perfecto de Cos and his men retreated from Bejar in December 1835, Texas had eliminated the last of the Mexican garrisons. Most of the volunteers returned to their homes, convinced the war was over. By January, the small body of men commanded by James C. Neal were reduced to about 100. They were supplemented by some 25 volunteers commanded by James Bowie. William Barrett Travis arrived on February 3rd with 30 men from the regular army, ordered there by Governor Henry Smith. In spite of engineer Green B. Jameson's belief the Alamo was indefensible, both Neal and Bowie saw the fortress as a strategic post, particularly because of its armament. Houston, on the other hand, preferred to avoid fixed fortifications and ordered Bowie, subject to Henry Smith's approval, to blow up the building. In the early hours of February 23rd, residents began fleeing Bejar, fearing the Mexican army's imminent arrival. Although unconvinced by the reports, Travis stationed a soldier in the San Fernando Church Bell Tower, the highest location in town, to watch for signs of an approaching force. Several hours later, Texian scouts reported seeing Mexican troops 1.5 miles outside the town. Few arrangements had been made for a potential siege. One group of Texians scrambled to herd cattle into the Alamo, while others scrounged for food in recently abandoned houses. Several members of the garrison who had been living in town brought their families with them. Other members of the garrison failed to report for duty. Most of the men working outside of Bejar did not try to sneak past Mexican lines. By late afternoon, Bejar was occupied by about 1,500 Mexican troops. When the Mexican troops raised a blood-red flag signifying no quarter, Travis responded with a blast from Alamo's largest cannon. Believing that Travis had acted hastily, Bowie sent Jameson to meet with Santa Anna. According to Almonte, the Texans asked for an honorable surrender but were informed that any surrender must be unconditional. On learning this, Bowie and Travis mutually agreed to fire the cannon again. The defenders held out for 13 days against Santa Anna's army. William B. Travis, the commander of the Alamo, sent forth couriers carrying pleas for help to communities in Texas. On the 8th day of the siege, a band of 32 volunteers from Gonzales arrived, bringing the number of defenders to nearly 200. Legend holds that with the possibility of additional help fading, Colonel Travis drew a line on the ground and asked any man willing to stay and fight to step over. All except one did. As the defenders saw it, the Alamo was the key to the defense of Texas, and they were ready to give their lives rather than surrender their position to General Santa Anna. Among the Alamo's garrisons was David Crockett, former famed frontiersman and former congressman from Tennessee. The final assault came before daybreak on the morning of March 6, 1836, as columns of Mexican soldiers emerged from the pre-dawn darkness headed for Alamo's walls. Cannon and small arms fired from inside Alamo beat back several attacks. Regrouping, the Mexicans scaled the walls and rushed into the compound. Once inside, they turned the captured cannon on the long barrack and church, blasting open the barricaded doors. The desperate struggle continued until the defenders were overwhelmed. By sunrise, the battle ended, and Santa Anna entered the Alamo compound to survey the scene of his victory. During the siege, newly elected delegates from across Texas met at the convention of 1836. On March 2nd, delegates declared independence, forming the Republic of Texas. 4 days later, delegates at the convention received a dispatch Travis had written March 3rd, warning of his dire situation. Unaware that Alamo had fallen, Robert Potter called for the convention to adjourn and march immediately to relieve the Alamo. Sam Houston convinced the delegates to remain in Washington on the Brazos to develop a constitution. After being appointed sole commander of all Texian troops, Houston journeyed to Gonzales to take command of 400 volunteers who were still waiting for Fannin to lead them to the Alamo. On the afternoon of April 21st, the Texian army attacked Santa Anna's camp near Lynchburg Ferry. The Mexican army was taken by surprise, and the Battle of San Jacinto was essentially over after 18 minutes. During the fighting, many of the Texian soldiers repeatedly cried, "Remember the Alamo." Santa Anna was captured the following day and reportedly told Houston, "That man may consider himself born to no common destiny, has conquered the Napoleon of the West, and now it remains for him to be generous to the vanquished." Houston replied, "You should remember that at the Alamo." Santa Anna was forced to order his troops out of Texas, ending Mexican control of the province and giving some legitimacy to the new republic. While the facts surrounding the siege of Alamo continue to be debated, there is no doubt about what the battle has come to symbolize. People worldwide continue to remember the Alamo as a heroic struggle against impossible odds, the place where men made the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. For this reason, Alamo remains hallowed ground and the shrine of Texas liberty.